The truth about men and sex. Do you want to find out what sex really means to men, what it is they are truly asking from you when the lights go down? Sex is a valuable component of any healthy romantic relationship, and if you're dating a guy, soon enough you might start thinking about taking your relationship to this level. But sex is also an area in which a person can feel really vulnerable, especially if they are still getting to know someone, and unfortunately, men and women often misinterpret messages from one another in the bedroom, which can lead to a lot of pain or offense. For instance, a common thing I hear from women is that a guy they are seeing seems to be only interested in getting them into the bedroom. As a result, these women can feel unvalued and neglected because their emotional needs seem to be being disregarded. Today I am going to be breaking down what sex really means to men and explaining why men and women sometimes have trouble understanding what each other needs. Prepare yourself for some surprises. Note: in this article I am talking strictly about sex between dating or relationship partners, rather than one-night stands or casual flings. The sexual dilemma. On the most basic level, research suggests that men do have a higher sex drive than women. Men generally report wanting sex and thinking about sex more often than women, but of course there are always exceptions. But the thing is, differences in sex drive is not usually the main issue when it comes to problems in a couple's sex life. Instead, what it often comes down to is a difference in the pathways between sex and emotions. Let me explain. It is not uncommon for a woman to report that man she is dating, particularly if he is younger, only seems to be interested in getting her into the bedroom. Because of her man's eagerness for sex, it's easy for this to be taken as meaning that he is only interested in sex, rather than in her as a person. And in some unfortunate cases, you will come across a guy who truly doesn't want commitment. But these men probably aren't going to be the ones interested in going out on proper dates, so you should weed them out pretty quickly. But as for the rest of the male population, the idea that men only want sex is actually far from the truth. Instead, through sex, a man is trying to fulfill a deep desire to connect with the woman he is with, express his love in the way he knows best, and fulfill his own need to feel desired by her. So in the case of a younger man dating an older woman, one of the reasons he's going to be so motivated to rock her world in the bedroom is because he will be very aware that she has probably had previous sexual partners before, and he will want to prove himself by giving her something she's never had before. But women often have a problem with the way that men approach sex, because although sex is usually up there in their relationship needs, it is definitely not at the top of the list. For you, emotional needs such as quality time, affirmations of love and meaningful conversation may come in before sex. In fact, you may need these needs to be fulfilled by your man in order to feel desirable and in the mood for sex, and because these are the things which make you feel the most loved, you seek out these from your man before you seek out sex. And if your man tries to initiate sex with you when you feel he has been neglecting any of these needs, it can feel like an insult. In fact, the times you most want to be ripping off your man's clothes is after he has just treated you to a romantic night out, said something really meaningful or supported you through a tough time. But here's the thing, men are often just the opposite. He has all of the same emotional and sexual needs, but they come in a different order. For him, sex is what makes him feel the most loved and desired by you, and he will seek this out before things like deep conversations and verbal expressions of your love. To him, sex may be the clearest way that you can express your love for him. Men do want all the love, trust, cuddling and intimacy that you do, but this side of them is usually unlocked during and after sex. Sex is what helps men to get in touch with their emotions. Often, it is after sex that men are at their most vulnerable, and this is when they will seek to connect to you with greater intimacy, through cuddles, affection, words of love and meaningful conversations. Because sex means so much to men, if your sex life isn't going well, it can be as crushing for him as it may feel for you if he suddenly stopped complimenting you and telling you how much he loves you, and because his highest love need is not being met right now, he may withdraw from you and be less capable of meeting your highest love needs. Make sense? The trouble is, Often what we feel most comfortable giving to our partner in a relationship is what we need most ourselves. So perhaps if your relationship has gone a bit downhill, you might make an effort to compliment your man more, tell him you love him and ask him about how his day has been, in hope that he will do the same back to you. But what your man might do instead is try to initiate sex more and get you in the mood, because this is what he really needs to feel loved right now, which you might interpret as him being insensitive and just wanting sex, which could actually make you even less in the mood. Can you see what an agonizing situation this can become? Basically, both men and women want sex, love and intimacy. But while men need sex in order to connect with their emotions and move into deeper levels of intimacy, women need that deep emotional connection before they can truly let go in the bedroom. So one of the keys to maintaining a great relationship is for both partners to understand each other's needs when it comes to sex and intimacy. Continue below and I will delve further into why sex is such a high priority to men. Men need sex to feel loved. First of all, let's be honest, sex doesn't always feel romantic. Sometimes it may feel more lighthearted, less deep and more about the pure physical release. But is that what guys always experience, just the pleasure and the release, or does sex mean something more? Research has suggested that sex means a lot more than the pure physical. It is strongly linked to a guy's emotions. Without it, a man won't feel completely loved by his partner. Women often have insecurities about their appearance and about whether their man really loves them. But guys often have serious insecurities about whether or not they are desirable to us as well. Sex makes a guy feel wanted and desired by the woman he is with, in a way that may mean more to him than even hearing "I love you." Even if other things in his life aren't quite on track right now, having regular and satisfying sex will make him feel that he is still winning. Many men describe sex with their wife or partner as being the most therapeutic thing they can do after a long hard day at the office or work site. It allows them to cope with anything that may be stressing them out right now. Guys often find it easier to express love in physical terms, which explains why they can get so stressed when it comes to trying to plan a romantic surprise. A great night in the sack can make your man feel on top of the world the whole next day. If he is keeping you sexually satisfied, he is winning in life. Men can have a lot of performance anxiety around sex. A man's ego is on the line when it comes to the bedroom. He has the potential to be turned down when he tries to initiate sex, and he has the potential to fail during sex itself. Men feel a lot of pressure to live up to sex god ideals in the bedroom. Many guys feel that if they fail in the sack, they fail as a man, and there are a lot of ways in which they can fail. Think how many jokes there are going around about a guy's penis size, whether he can keep it up, and how long he can last during intercourse. Any guy will be secretly worried that if he underperforms, you will be going straight to your girlfriends to laugh about it. Talk about pressure. What he hears when you say no. Have you ever had a guy shut down on you without having any idea why? Chances are, it may have something to do with what is happening, or not happening, in the bedroom. When a guy tries to initiate sex, he is making himself vulnerable to a person he really cares about. And as we've talked about earlier, sex is not just a physical thing he enjoys, it is actually strongly attached to his emotions. So subsequently, when a man is turned down in his attempts to initiate sex, he can feel more rejected and wounded than perhaps we sometimes realize. In fact, no to sex can open up all of a guy's insecurities about not being desirable enough. For instance, one man who was interviewed for Shaunti Feldon's book For Women Only explained that the reason it hurt so much when his wife said no to sex was that while he could never resist her, she seems to easily be able to resist him in the bedroom. This made him feel less desirable. It can be easy to brush off your man's advances without even realizing any damage it may be causing. For instance, you may be in the middle of a demanding job when he comes up behind you and tries to distract you with a caress. As you are concentrating on what you are doing and sex isn't at all on your mind right now, You might absent-mindedly brush his hand away and keep going with the task, or perhaps he may try to get things started one night when you are feeling really tired and only have sleep in mind. So you give him a kiss and roll over to sleep. In these cases, you're not actually intending to make your man feel rejected. In fact, your mind is barely even registering the fact that he wants to have sex. But without realizing it, your disregard of his attempts to initiate sex may have been hurtful for him and he may withdraw from you as a result. I want to be clear that this segment is not meant to make you feel that you shouldn't ever turn down your man's attempts for sex, because you have every right to say no for any reason. But it is important to try and increase your awareness of a guy's emotional connection to sex, and to be considerate and gentle about the way that you say no. It's important to make it clear that despite the fact that it isn't a good time for you right now, you do really want and desire him. And a good thing to do here is to suggest when would be a good time. As soon as possible is best. For instance, if you are feeling too tired at night, let him know that you would love to in the morning instead, or make your own move on him in the morning. Simply having sex is not enough. As we touched on above, guys can have a lot of performance anxiety when it comes to sex, even when in a committed relationship, and especially when you are first dating. Part of a guy's sexual satisfaction is knowing that he is keeping you satisfied, and that you genuinely enjoy having sex for your own sexual pleasure as well as his. If he feels that you are just having sex for the sake of satisfying him, it will not mean half as much. In fact, having sex out of duty makes your man feel the same kind of rejection as you saying no, because when you don't seem that into it, you are pretty much giving him the message that he is not that great in the sack. He wants to be a sex god who can drive you crazy at his touch. But instead, he feels like a burden who is unable to excite you or get you hot. So how can you show your man that you do love your time in the bedroom? Well, firstly, by giving him a lot of encouragement. When he does something you like, make sure he knows it. And if you want him, go ahead and initiate sex. This will go really far in telling him beyond a doubt that you find him desirable. If the sex isn't as good for you as what it could be, you need to actually communicate what you want. It's important that you and your man feel safe and comfortable enough to express your sexual desires to one another, without the fear of being judged. As long as you go about it in the right way, being gentle, encouraging and uncritical, a guy will love that you care enough about your own sexual satisfaction to tell him what really turns you on or sends you over the edge. Don't let the topic of sex go untalked about because it's too hard to bring up. At the end of the day, improving your sex life is only going to be beneficial for your relationship, whereas continuing to have mundane sex for the sake of getting it over and done with will only put your relationship on the path to destruction. What this all means for you. First of all of this does not mean you have to sleep with a guy straight away when dating. In fact, sleeping with a guy straight away can actually be a turn-off, and hinder your chances of a good relationship. However, you can still give him an indication that you find him desirable and are interested in sex, while maintaining a classy impression. For instance, there is nothing wrong with a steamy kiss on the doorstep after a night out. But what I do want you to take away from this is how much sex is linked to a guy's need to feel desired by you, and how it literally is the key to unlocking his more emotional side. Remember, a decline in your sex life can feel the same to him as him suddenly not talking to you as much. So treat sex as a way to connect and have fun with the man you're with, and let him know what needs you have when it comes to sex and intimacy. Anything that can help you to feel more comfortable, valued, desired and turned on. This does not mean that you have to act like some kind of porn star to satisfy your man's needs. It just means being actively involved and enjoying the moment. Have fun and love your man in all the way he needs, so that he can love you in all of the ways that you need. Well, that's all for now. Thank you. If you would like any further advice, click the link below.